Okay, so decision making. A quick recap. Okay, how do you know a question is about decision making? You tend to see some jargon like factors. All right, they may ask you for factors considered. Okay, on top of factors, you may see some questions asking you about some rational agent. Could be a rational consumer or rational producer. Okay, and sometimes they are very obvious. They say decision. Okay, so you expect some common jargon like the three here. Okay, right? So approach. I had three different approaches. All right, some of you probably remember four. I'll tell you what's the fourth one. Okay. So the first one was SCP. Okay. Now, what can I say about SCP? SCP has a few characteristics. It's very diagram centric. In a sense, you cannot explain this without a diagram. So what does the diagram look like? It's actually your very simple MPC, MPB, quantity of something, cost, benefit. Okay? So how do you know whether SCP is relevant when you can draw this diagram? On top of that, I always like to think of SCP questions as you can say one more, one less. The nature of that decision is very incremental. Oh, what are the factors that a rational producer considers, right? In deciding how much to produce. Okay, so example, how a rational producer considers factors in determining, right, how much of a good to produce. So this will be SCP. SCP is not only for producers, you can use it for consumers. You can even use it for the government. Questions? You have? Okay, so SCP means you start with the aim, you explain why there's increasing NPC or PMC, they mean the same thing. Okay? Sorry, there's also another step here. C for context. Contextualize NPC, NPB, right? Then explain why there's decreasing NPB. And finally, poke the equilibrium. All right, poking the equilibrium means you have to challenge. Hey, why is it not here? Why is it not here? Why do they all gravitate to that point in the middle? So that's your first approach, SCP. Yes, when you explain why MTC is rising, we tend to say, oh, law of increasing op cost, if you're talking about consumers. Producers, law of diminishing marginal returns. Okay? Then why is MPB decreasing? For consumers, law of diminishing marginal utility. For producers, it's just the law of demand. When you sell more, your marginal revenue or your average revenue all fall. Okay, so the video covers these things. That's why I want you to approach me if you need those resources. Okay. All right. So that's SCP. That is approach. I shall call it approach A. Okay. Second, UBCC. Okay, because I think the prelim experience has shown us that sometimes you may get the wrong approach. It's supposed to be SCP, you think it's UBCC. It's supposed to be UBCC, you do the reverse. Right? I think some people suffered from that in case studies. Okay? So UBCC, I don't really have a diagram. I shall call it no direct diagram to explain. In the sense, we don't draw a diagram to show, oh, look, this is the constraint, this is the unintended consequence, this is the benefit. It's not there. Okay? But I tend to think of the decision as once off. When I say it's once off, it's meant to be a contrast with one more, one less. Okay? Example, they may ask you, oh, What would a rational producer? I'm just giving you producer specific examples. Could be consumer also. Okay. So what would a rational producer consider in deciding whether to merge? Okay. So what is UBCC? Unintended consequences, constraints, costs, benefits. Okay. Some things I cannot just tell you. Later I'll give you more than 10 questions and you decide which one is A, which one is B. And then there's a C also, okay? So what is C? Again, when you see a question talking about factors, decision, right? Sometimes the question is yo-yo. Okay? Now what do I mean by yo-yo? You're on your own. Why? Typically these questions are about content summary. So they can ask you to summarize content. Okay? And when I see yo-yo, example, they can ask you, I should say something else. That decision may not be singular. Wow, how come it sounds so cheap? So what do I mean when I say the decision may not be singular? Alright, that means they could ask you for strategies that a rational producer, for the factors that a rational producer considers in deciding on the choice of competitive strategies. This was actually presented in the RV prelims. So they asked students to discuss the factors that a rational producer considers in choosing competitive strategies. It is not singular because from here, you don't know which decision they chose. They could have chosen price competition, non-price competition. Under price, they could have chosen the price war. All right, they could have done something else like price leadership. Or they could have chosen advertising, research and development. So we do not know what was the final outcome. And it's very hard to pin it down and say, let's look at UBCC. Okay? So that's why for these kind of questions, on choice of competitive strategies, you're on your own, right? Content summary. But what can you do? You split the dartboard. So if you recall, this was a while back. Competitive strategies, right? You split this. And you can link it to price competition. Non-price. Price competition, non-price, this one could be advertising. This one could be research and development, right? Then you try to attach some factors. Like I'll say, okay, if I want to do this, I need to make sure I have profits. Right? I need to have profits before I can pump the money to research or advertising. I need profits. Would I really do a price cut? It depends on rival reaction. If the rivals match your price cuts, you're not likely to do what they are doing, right? I mean, you're not likely to initiate a price cut. Depends on the firm's objectives also. If I'm trying to maximize profits, I'll probably not cut my price. Okay. Unless I'm trying to maximize market share, then it's possible. Then one more is nature of the firm. Nature of the firm. Sorry, nature of the firm output. If you're selling something homogeneous, it's very challenging to research. If you are Keppel, I think you sell electricity, how do you do research and make your electricity better? You can't. Okay? So, it really feels like you're on your own. I can't give you this plan and say, use this for future yo-yo questions. Okay? If you didn't realize yo-yo means you're on your own. Okay? And this year, quite a number of yo-yos also. Okay? But I don't want to spoil the surprise for you. I will just say, Right now, we are looking at these three types, A, B, and C. Any questions? Yes, Jai? Ah, sure. Why? It's actually because of this step, hooked equilibrium. So when you're explaining acid P, we will say that the firm wants to be here. They don't want to be on the left because why? On the left, marginal benefit exceeds marginal cost. They should continue consuming or producing. The reverse is true over here, right? So they are always here, which means we are not thinking of a once-off decision. We are thinking of something incremental. If I'm here, I can actually produce more. If I'm here, I will produce less. Whereas when I think about something like merger, I can't say if I'm here, I should merge one more time. Then if I'm here, I should merge one less time. It's not incremental. It all goes back to the alphabet M for marginal. Okay? Alright, so that's ABC. Now, decision-making questions were very prevalent in